The checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
In 2021, the average monthly nominal earnings of employees increased by 9.5% compared to 2020 and amounted to 1,304 GLR, show the preliminary data from the National Statistics Office of Georgia. As of the document, in 2021, the average monthly earnings increased in most sectors compared to 2020. According to the economic activity, the highest monthly earnings were observed in the following fields: financial and insurance activities, professional, scientific and technical activities, information and communication. In 2021, the average monthly earnings equal to 1,055 GLR for women, while 1,537 GLR for men. The annual growth of earnings amounted to 10.8% for women and 9.2% for men. In the majority of sectors of economic activities, the average monthly earnings of men were higher compared to women, the document reads. The first Deputy Minister of Finance, Georgi Kakauridze, declares that the positive effect of the employment program will be to reduce the number of socially vulnerable people. The Deputy Minister noted that the Ministry of Health will implement a monitoring system to increase the effectiveness of the program. Such a program is needed, but the effectiveness of this program must be improved. The program started this year, and the Ministry of Health is planning to develop a certain monitoring system that will help people to be engaged in the program as much as possible and exclude the fact that someone take the salary for nothing. The Ministry of Health is working in this direction, and we will be able to evaluate this program in 1 year. In the end, the positive effect of the program will be that it will reduce the number of vulnerable citizens, said Kakauridze. 40 million GLR will be spent this year for the government program to promote the employment of vulnerable citizens. The Georgian government on Monday held a meeting led by Prime Minister Irakli Garibashvili to discuss a range of topics, including the approval of the strategy for the development of the capital market of Georgia and related action plan for the next 6 years. The government administration said that the strategy would contribute to uniformity of the country's economic space, freedom of economic activity, and establishment of a competitive and stable investment environment. The strategy was developed with the active involvement of the relevant government agencies, private sector representatives, Asia Development Bank experts and consultants. The document is fully consistent with our obligations towards the European Union, that is, the obligations defined by the Association Agreement are fully reflected in the Capital Market Development Strategy and its action plan, Economy Minister Levan Davitashvili said. Levan Davitashvili, the Georgian Minister for Economy, on Monday said the government was expecting about $3 billion income from the domestic tourist sector this year, which would mark a number of close to the pre-pandemic figure of $3.2 billion. Speaking to the media, the minister said the tourist sector recovery process was ongoing actively, even outside seasonal periods. I believe the recovery process will continue proactively. Between July and September, tourist income outperformed that in the pre-pandemic period. The winter season is expected to be active thanks to restored flights to a number of directions, said the minister. The draft law, which provides for the establishment of a visa regime for the citizens of the Russian Federation as a state implementing military occupation, has been initiated in the parliament. The authors of the draft law are opposition MPs Anna Natsulishvili, Shalva Shavgulidze, Salome Samadashvili and David Usupashvili. According to the draft law, unlike the general rule, it will be possible to obtain a tourist visa only at the border crossing point open open for international visitors on the state border of Georgia as a result of inspection carried out by the authorized body of Ministry of Internal Affairs of Georgia. Persons who hold the citizenship of the Russian Federation but had the citizenship of Georgia and left it or lost it will be exempted from legal restrictions. According to the bill, before entering Georgia, a citizen of Russian Federation must confirm in writing that he/she recognizes territorial integrity of Georgia and that the territories indicated in the law on the occupied territories are occupied by the Russian Federation. Entry to Georgia shall be denied to a person whose belongings or vehicle has non-peaceful symbols. Non-peaceful symbols imply symbols related to the communist, fascist, totalitarian ideology, as well as the military aggression carried out by the Russian Federation in Ukraine. The latter refers to the graphic representation of the Latin letters Z and V, which have become symbols of Russian aggression. The ruling party Georgian Dream initiated an anti-oligarchy bill which was developed on the example of Ukrainian law with a similar content and essentially repeats the norms of the Ukrainian law. According to the bill, an oligarch is a person with sizable economic and political significance in public life, who is a natural person and meets at least three of the following criteria at the same time: participates in political life, has a significant influence on mass media, is the final beneficiary of the entrepreneurial legal entity which has a dominant position in the market and which maintains or improves this position for 1 year. The conferred amount of his assets and those of entrepreneurial legal entities where he is a beneficiary as of January 1 of the relevant year exceeds 1 million times the subsistence minimum established for working force persons. According to the bill, oligarchs will be included in a special register and they will be restricted from certain financial activities. In particular, the oligarch entered in the register is limited to make donations from his own funds in support of political parties, performing work, providing goods, services, or cash in accordance with the election code, making donations to the candidate's election fund, to be a buyer in the process of privatization of large-scale facilities, financing and political campaign, holding gatherings or demonstrations with political demands. Within the scope of the campaign, 100 investment offers for business, the National Agency of State Property of the Ministry of Economy put 155 objects for sale at an electronic auction across the country with an initial value of more than 68 million GLR. The agency disseminates information about these. The list of privatization objects includes the former building of Kutaisi Press House, the territory of the former Kutaisi Cannery, state enterprises and state property attractives for investment in the region. Electronic auction will end on October 19. Speaking to BMG, the agency explains that a discount on the state property is made in case of repeated auctions. According to the agency, all interested persons have an equal opportunity to participate in electronic auctions without any bureaucratic procedures and become the owner of the state asset in a short period of time.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.